So conscious parenting is really, a one level playing field where we're all each other's teachers. Your child's your greatest teacher. And what's really important is, with conscious parenting, there's no punishments, but there are boundaries, and the boundaries are the safety net. They're the limits, the loving limits that really hold the kids.
Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about the meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up.
Hello and welcome to Bombastik Broadcasting with Kat, Kim, and Sue.
As you know, here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we believe in illuminating the folks who are stoking the fire in their souls, one podcast at a wonderful time. And today, for our wonderful time, we're continuing our showcase of the coaches for the Global Conscious Parenting Summit. It's coming up on August 8th. It's going to be online, free. Everybody needs to be there. So to give you a little sneak preview, we're highlighting today our lovely Nina Cruz, coming to us direct from Sydney, Australia, down under. Sorry, that was easy. I couldn't help it. She is a conscious parent and empowerment coach, and one of her key taglines that I absolutely adore is "From Mayhem to Magic." Can't wait to hear about the magic, Nina. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to meet you, Nina. I'm going to start off by going a little left of the magic to mayhem because we're going to get to that very quickly. But you've written a book called Letters to My Son. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so I contributed to that book. That was some poetry that I actually contributed, and it's kind of a better, in a book where you share, what you want to share with your child, or So I actually have poems in there, but I have co-authored 2 books. One in the US called No Problem Parenting, and I've written a chapter in there, and one in Australia called Navigating Motherhood. So I love writing, so yeah, and I'm set to do my own book.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us, so tell us how you sort of decided that you wanted to help others with parenting journey.
Yeah, well, I've always been like a helping person. I've always thrived on supporting people, and from a very young age, actually. And I left school, I traveled. I went to uni as a mature age student and did social work and started in that field. Then kind of went into the health and fitness industry because that is another passion of mine. And it was always like everybody, why is everybody doing, not, wanting to get better, but really struggling? Like, why do they know what to do and they're not doing it? And then I became a parent and I was like, I really lost myself early on. I was looking outward, we were born into this culture of looking out, and really lost my intuitive way and what was best for my child. And I was like stressed and anxious and it was just, everything felt challenging. It felt like, hang on, why do I have the child that is catnapping and waking up every 25 minutes, and here everybody's like got the dream baby, and so I stumbled on conscious parenting early on, and fell off my chair going, geez, is the problem me? Is it that is it my challenge? Is it really nothing to do with my child? And that just sent me on a new pathway of, you can't unlearn what you've learned, and like going, wow, like it's nothing to do with my child. So it took me in a deeper dive because, before children, BC, you could leave. If you've got a friend or a relationship, you don't have to stay. You can move on. But with your child, you're connected, you're joined at the hip, and, you can suffer or you can grow and learn from the journey and what they're teaching you. So
always a bummer when you have to look at yourself, huh?
It is.
Come on.
It's ignorance is bliss.
That's one of the conscious threads that I'm learning through meeting you amazing coaches. And how cool that you were connected with conscious parenting early on. I asked one of our coaches yesterday, I said, oh my gosh, like, is it too late? My daughter's 18. Can I go backwards? And the theme is it's never too late. And turns out the problem is not just everybody else or my child. it's more than likely me, which if people out there are hearing this and they're resistant to that thought a little bit of like self-blame, it's not even that. It's more like self-empowerment, because if the problem is
Exactly.
you're the only one that you can change. So I think the message that the conscious parent coaches have that I'm hearing is very positive, very empowering. And I saw this this meme the other day. It was something like that. Turns out the monkeys are mine and it's actually my circus. Or something like that. It was a
Yeah,
lot
it's
funnier the
your
way the word
yeah,
was.
it's your movie. Like we're creating our own movie, really, and we're either the lead role or we're an extra in our own movie. And I think with parenting, yeah, it doesn't matter when you arrive. We do better when we know better, or, we are where we are. And you can always go back and repair. You can always go back, geez, I was like this. You're not stuck in your history. That's the past, and you can create something new in the moment right now. And repairing is really magical. You can really shift things for yourself and your child.
Can you tell us more about that? Because that's really part of your angle, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really about taking full radical responsibility for yourself and what's happened and your actions. And if you scream and yell at your child, and you can go and repair with your child. We're not perfect humans. We're living this human experience, and we mess up. But the point of my mayhem to magic is the mess up is great content, great data for you. You can learn from it. But if you don't learn from it, there's a problem there, because you're going to go and repeat the same behaviors, and you may be in denial. But that magic is that we have to move through, because often people, like I have a perfectionistic part of me, and we've got to get it right. And that's where I came at my parenting. I've got to get it right. I've got to be the perfect mother, and that screwed me up, really. Because you're never going to be that. We've got a critic. We've got our ego, which wants to keep you safe in dysfunctional ways. So it's very powerful to be able to go and look back, or even just sit with what maybe where you were and how you want to be now, and even express that to your child. I'm often telling my kids, tell me what you don't really like about what I'm doing. Like, just tell me. I'm open. And I asked my daughter, because after 8 o'clock at night, I'm literally like a pumpkin. Like, I'm like, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, you're a bit grumpier at night. And I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And and it's coming with self-compassion, with understanding, because you won't grow and learn from it if you're judging yourself and your choices and your history, and then you'll just be living out your history into your present moment and into your future. So transformation won't occur.
Pretty nice for you that you managed to become conscious early in your journey as a parent. Your kids were still little. That's really great. How old are they now?
I've got an 11-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son.
Perfect.
And they're highly, strong-willed, highly wild children, like it's like Africa.
Yeah.
They're loud, and it was always my intention to allow them to express themselves in healthy ways, obviously not damaging furniture or throwing things around the place, because that is not where I came from. I was suppressing as a child. And this is a very common story for clients I work with. We had to suppress, we had to suck it up and come on, get on with it and all this. And, I was always like, allow them to express themselves to whatever. And so that meant that took me on my own journey of having to be with my own feelings, because if you can't be with your intense feelings or what's sitting with you, you definitely can't hold space for someone else. You want to fix them, you want to go in and micromanage and change the subject, give them a lollipop, or use them food, and yeah. And I'm sure we've all done little bits of that, but when we wake up and we go, oh, okay, I'm in it now. Okay, what do I want to shift to? Where do I want to change and take a different choice? And that will take you and your child on a whole new pathway. And that's where the magic happens, in the real mundane. You don't have to curate amazing things. The magic is definitely from going through the shitty parts of you and the shitty moments into you shifting gears and creating something new from that.
From shitty to shifting. I love it.
That's right.
Is that your second option of what you're going to call your
Yeah, the shit show.
Well, it's funny that you say, because that's kind of where Bombastic came from too. Because Kim, as a little, she was bombastic.
My mom used to be like, "Stop being so bombastic," and that's why we were like, "Okay, let's be as
I love
bombastic
it.
as we can. Let's go."
I loved it. You know, being wild, like we are, like
Mhm.
that is our true nature.
It
And we
is.
have layers of conditioning and layers of rules and regulations and, you know, institutions that we lose ourselves. That
Yes.
just being wild and free and bliss and joy and, you know, and we go into all the shoulds of what we should be doing and we go into that egoic agendas. So that is where we want to shift from, so we can actually create what we want. Because when we're in those egoic agendas, we're literally going around in a like on a circle, on a wheel, and you're never going to get there. You're never going to achieve or get or feel or get what you want, really.
Yes.
So when you
There's
know
always
the
just
difference, when you know the difference, and even in your parenting, when you know you're in your ego and going, oh God, I'm there, and then you shift, that it's a completely different, it's like, you know, night and day.
Beautiful.
That is
There's a lovely
consciousness.
quote about you know, having loud children. They're very safe in themselves, and I always think that's beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, and I remember, like, because my kids can say anything to me, they don't filter, and I used to go, oh my goodness, and then I was like, man, I could never do that. I could never speak up. I was like choked at the throat, you know. I've had to move through that throat choking tightness that I couldn't speak the truth, because firstly, if I spoke the truth, well, firstly, you probably wouldn't get what I wanted, or I'd be told, go, you know, no, and no one was listening, and it's like, well, so what's the point?
Right.
But my kids will just, say it how it is. And sometimes it can be, and it is. They're reflecting exactly what, maybe I did something, or maybe I said something, and that didn't sit well. And I'm like, whoa, you know, and it is a wake up call. It's a continual wake up call, and they're waking us up, awakening us to, you know, be in our truth and parent, you know, outside of all the conditioning. And that's where you get the, you know, they're more connected to you, you feel more connected, and that's where they're not going to, you know, go necessarily and you know, go and you know, have low self-esteem or you know, they're going to feel better in their own skin, I feel.
Nothing better than just seeing all the kids running wild and free.
Yeah, that's right. Well, everyone says it, and I'm sure you've heard it before, but you obviously need to be aware of where you're at. So where are you currently? What's going on? Current reality, where are you? Because if you don't know where you're at, it's like, and you don't know where you want to go, it's like you don't jump into an airplane without a destination. So you got to know where you're at, what you want to create and where you want to go, or how you want to be as a parent. How do you want to show up? And then, you know, there's a lot of work in between. It's firstly, how, you know, picking yourself up, waking up. Like we fall asleep. We're sleepwalking around the place. So it's whether it's having some kind of habit of checking in, especially when you're interacting with your child. Where am I coming from? Like a lot of the work is really this energetic piece of where you're coming from, because that is actually creating your experience, or where you're focusing is creating your experience. So, you know, I've had moments with my child where I was like, whoa, that, you know, heart, what's the word? Like, you know, like, whoa, it hit my heart. Where he'll say, where he said once, he said, you know, you say this, but I don't feel it. I don't feel it from you. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty big. And, you know, we can be in our head. We can really parent from our head. And a lot of us grew up just kind of, you know, it's like we're a head walking around, logical thinking. And we're not embodied in our, you know, we had to sever from our body because it wasn't safe. And so it's embodying all of you, feeling what you need to feel, becoming aware, and then having, you know, a choice to, you know, keep it simple. You don't need to have too many focuses, but, you know, it could just be to speak the truth, or it could be every time my child, you know, we interact, I'm going to be present. Like you just focus on one. Maybe you feel disconnected to your child and, you know, they're not doing as you say. And then you start to reconnect yourself and then connect to them in the moment and Don't say a word. Don't tell them, pick up your socks and do this and do that. And you start to just observe, because we really can't shift things or be our intuition if we're playing that program, that old conditioning. We're just going to
Right.
spit out the same stuff. And that's why we can feel disconnected from them, because we're in our head, and that's not the feeling space. So there's many tools and strategies to take on board, to just start to become aware of where you're at, where you want to be, what you want to create with your child or in your life or in your family, and you choose where you want to be. You don't not keep choosing currently what's playing out. You learn from it, though. You've got to learn from what you're doing, because we all have compensations and behaviors and dysfunctions and misbehaviors, I like to say, that we do on a daily basis. And if you check in with yourself and get honest, most people know what they're doing. We're trying to get energy, we're trying to get attention, and it all's playing out from the template of our childhood and our blueprint of who we had to be, how we had to show up to get our needs met. Because as a child, we'll do anything to get our needs met. And if that meant dysfunctional ways of relating and connecting and, taking actions, then so be it. And that's nothing wrong with that. We survived our childhood, but now we're adulting and we're like, no, I want to do it. I want to play the game by my rules. I want to, show up in a different way. And that means peeling away those layers.
Well, and that takes bravery too. I love how you said that, and really that map of where you are, right?
Yeah.
Because you make me think of in the mall,
Yeah.
If you look at the kiosk,
yeah, you are.
Yeah. Not right there. What good did that map do, right?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So as you're figuring out where you are and where you want to be in your conscious parenting and your connection with your child, what if you're a parent who has some point of trauma in it where you did something wrong, scar, wounding, wrong? So what happens? How do you actually undo that? Because it takes two of you and your child is still developing and you messed up.
Yeah. Well, your work is your work.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're age dependent. You share, maybe how I showed up. That's not how I want to show up. You have a clear communication with them that this is mine to hold, because kids can often tend to hold things for their parents, especially with divorce. And I've gone through divorce where they feel like it's their fault. So it's reminding them, and we can't control what they're going to make something mean, what they're going to experience within, and that is trauma, your experience of what happened. It's not per se the event, it's what you made it mean within you. So we can't control that, but we can certainly show up and be an example and deal with our own trauma and our own stuff that is bubbling up. And as a parent, it will rise to the surface. There's no coincidence. It's divinely orchestrated that your child will awaken your stuff. And if you're ready, then that's the opportunity to grow. And if not, the patterns will continue, because if you're not disrupting those patterns, our ego will be running the show. You're either in your ego or you're in your higher self. There's no other orientation you could be in. So it's becoming aware. And obviously, I have a coach, and having a coach allows me and anybody to see the blind spots that I don't see, because we have blind spots. And sometimes I'm like, whoa, what's that about? And then I notice it and I see it, and it's covert. It's sneaky. The ego is sneaky. And there's nothing wrong with our ego. Its main job is to keep us safe. So that's why it will do whatever it takes. But if you're living out of your ego as an adult, as a parent, you're going to be doing things that try and keep you safe. So you're going to stay small. You're not going to speak up. You're not going to be in your truth. Do whatever the antics of your ego are and whatever you had to do, they're going to show up. And so to disrupt that as a parent, then we don't go down those old, well-worn paths, creating the same kind of stuff or same kind of shit, really. Maybe dressed up, looking a little different. We think it looks different.
Right.
But it's not. The core of it is that. And when you can divert and, because there's this big thing that we need to go and do all the work. We need to clear our beliefs. We need to fix ourselves. And this is all from the egoic orientation. We actually don't need to do anything. We don't. Yes, we can talk to people. Yes, we can have coaches, and we figure out blind spots, and we can work with what's showing up. But we don't have to do anything. The fixing is what the ego wants to do. I think one of the really big things with parenting and with life is, and I recently saw Jane Fonda, and she talked about it as well. It's, you know, we've had trauma, we've had experiences, but what do we learn from it? What have we made it mean, and how do we grow from it? And that's when the trauma and all the challenges become, you know, that the magic piece that we learn from, and we can you know, move to a different kind of timeline and create something new.
Like, it seems like a lot of parents parent from the place of, I don't want you to make the same mistakes as I've made.
Oh yeah, that's big. Yeah, totally. Yeah, so we come in with the intention of doing the opposite of what our parents did. We're doing the same because the energy underneath is the same. And, you know, I've done it because I was coming from control, and I learned early on that if I was coming at any kind of control with my child, they were disconnecting from me. And I've learned to let go of control, because control's a mechanism, you know, it's like it's a conditioned compensation. It's a pattern that we pick up in childhood because we don't feel safe, right? We need to control things. We need to have it all together and hold on. And so, yeah, I have had to move through more of the surrender and the letting go and being in the unknown and not knowing. Like, the not knowing is the gateway. And I never knew that. And some of the most magical things that have happened, and that's the space where we can, you know, nurture and nourish a bit more. Then we're going to be less in trying to fix and trying to control and trying to curate and perfect and all of that. And then our children feel the difference. They're way beyond us. They've got less baggage than us, and they're more in tune, you know, closer to spirit in ways, because they're younger and they haven't you know, dealt with in life as much as we have, and as less layers, I guess.
Yes, definitely. And when you say when you were trying to control your children and they would disconnect, was that at any age, or was it when they were older, or even when they were little?
Well, it started when they were young, when my son was younger. So I like to feel it's more of a dance. We dance around, we dance kind of, you know, it's a constant movement, motion.
Yes.
And, you know, when we come from control, we have to deal with resistance. And it's obviously dependent on the nature of your child. If you have a more easygoing child, I say, or maybe less reactive, what I want to say is actually more conforming. We learn to conform because that gets our needs met. You know, being a good girl, you know, I got bonus points, you know, so of course, be the good girl. And I've been slowly dismantling the good girl.
That's a book for you right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It's a title and everything.
That's right. But, so when you come in, no one wants to be told what to do, right? I mean, if you just go, would you talk to you like that? It's a lot of letting go, and you really got to pick your battles and pick what you want to focus on, because the more I let go and don't try and control it, the more they step up, the more they just feel more relaxed and safe, and then they can step up and kind of shine in their own way, rather than me telling them and dictating, coming from this really hierarchical place. So conscious parenting is really, you know, a one level playing field where we're all each other's teachers. You know, your child's your greatest teacher. And what's really important is, you know, with conscious parenting, there's no punishments, but there are boundaries, and the boundaries are the safety net. They're the limits, the loving limits that really hold the kids. And if you're coming from a space, which is me completely, of perfectionism and, you know, pleasing and doing the right thing and being the good girl, it's really important when you get to be a parent is to notice where you're doing this, because this really takes away a lot of the life lessons of your child. So it's really like, you're not going to overcompensate with them, that they need to feel life, like they need to feel disappointment. They need to feel that if they forget something, they forget something. So that we're not rushing and swooping in to create this perfect childhood, because they really need these lessons. We don't want children that are entitled. This can be a big misconception of conscious parenting, that they think it's just hands-off parenting. Like it's hands-off, like free-ranging. Not to say that they can't free range around the outside in the garden, but there are limits. You can't go and climb that wall. For me, it's like in our house, there's certain rules, and if they're not abiding by them, then there's a consequence. And you have to then empower yourself to follow through. And that is a very hard thing to do. There's a consequence for showing up and holding those boundaries that it impacts us as well. Like it's turn off the movie and we want to finish watching the movie, oh God. But they learn, and then they learn that that's not acceptable, and that's not what we do in our house. I have 2 houses, so there is a little period when they come back that they have to get back aligned into what we do here.
Yeah, and that's just a part of it, because that's going to be, it's the same for life, right? Different stuff happens in different places, for sure.
They have contrast. They really have good contrast, and kids learn by contrast. They see, what their friends' families are doing or what they're doing. And there's always going to be that part where they're like, it's not fair. The thing is, in your home, you get to make the rules. You get to, and you can collaborate with your children, which is a great way of coming up with ideas or rules, or, what I often throw it over to my kids. Well, what do you think? What do you think I should do? And then I see what they're thinking, because I don't
Isn't it great?
Yeah, I don't deem to think that I have all the answers. I want to hear what they have, and then we can create a plan together where it's kind of meets them and meets me, and that way also, when they're more invested, they're going to hold that a little bit more. They're going to feel part of it, not just dictated to. So really the more ways you can come in, the better. Like the less resistance you have, and I think parenting, especially strong-willed children, resistance is something you need to work with and be able to be with. And, that tension, tension's a creative energy. So being with that, we're often trying to relieve tension all the time. But I've learned over the years that you got to hang on to it, because you want it to result in favor of what you're going for and what you want to create with your child. And that is holding tension. That is being in the mess and the chaos and the mayhem and the confrontation, that you may need to have, being in it and seeing what's birthed from that. And one thing it also helps me is, and may support the listeners to get on board, is your time with your child in their childhood is limited. So, what are you going to do with it? You don't want to look back and have major regrets. So it's kind of a wake-up call, step up, because, as they get older, it speeds up. So that always wakes me up, even if I've gone down a little rabbit hole. I'm like, it's time. It's time. Get over yourself. Like, get over me. Yeah. It's not about my ego and being right and righteous and all of that. It's this moment. And then that is the moment that you have, that you can change. You don't have to follow down what happened in the past. The past is gone. You can't go back, and I think that's powerful to remember that.
Definitely.
Drop the mic on that one. Well done.
Well, Nina, I think I speak for all of us when I say I wish we could talk to you all day long.
Oh, thank you.
This has been amazing.
Thank you.
Here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we like to say that a rising tide lifts all boats. So, as far as what you're offering, is it mainly one-on-one coaching that you have available?
Yeah, so I do one-on-ones. I am offering soon. I'm doing a whole restructure at the moment, but I am offering
That's great.
Some tiny challenges, which are free tiny challenges. Like you work with me for five days in a row, and then I can offer a package that I have and see if we're a good fit. So that is coming up. But nice. Generally it's one-on-one and also community. Yeah, my website's down at the moment because it's being rehauled.
That was on your Facebook though, wasn't it? The community's on your Facebook page?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's called Conscious Creators Collective.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so, you can't do this thing alone. You really need support. No. You need your team. I'm a big advocate for that, and I've always had support, a coach, because, I know time is limited, and I really don't want to have those regrets, and I want to learn from life, learn from my kids, and and we all have that opportunity.
Yes.
Beautiful. You have to do it yourself, but you don't have to do it alone.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we grow up, women are pushed to be quite, responsible and solo. And I think time now is really coming that leaning on other women or a community. It's important because there's so much going on in the world. And a lot of the time when you have a community, they reflect a lot of what you're feeling anyway. And it can create that safety, that feeling that I'm not alone in the world. And that is another egoic agenda, that you're alone in the world. So you don't want to play that one out.
Yeah.
And definitely want to talk more. That's a good one to be continued, because that one I haven't heard of yet. And without wanting to ask another question, I'm going to say, until our next showcase, be present with your child, be loving in your limits, and be the change you want to see in your life and the magic in your parenting journey.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up. My man Mo said that the reason that the world fucked up is cause everybody lazy. Positivity is corny to them, but they still gon' complain about the bad going on. Shit crazy. So I just had to drop a little project. I don't know what the object is, but this feels good. If you too hood for the good vibe, sorry I ain't got nothing for you. Why should I?
You shouldn't. We out here doing the things that y'all wouldn't. Life could be a sweet ride, proof is in the pudding. These guys with the weak vibes, I'll show them where to put it. Down bad, I was looking for the answer. Mind all mad, taking over like a cancer. Canceled the sub plans, came from up above. Told me everything we doing, showing love, and I gotta
wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up.
I've been getting so high, head up in the clouds. I don't ever wanna come down, but I gotta
wake up.
Ain't enough time to be down. Bust a smile, cause it's yet another day that I'm allowed to
wake up.
Feeling blessed to be alive, man. Not long till we thriving. Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Most.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about that meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up, so much more in this world that you can do. Wake up, every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up, you keep shining.